Why MacGyver, and why did you think it would work? Obviously it does, but how did you see that early on?
I don't know if everybody knows the history of the show. I think you know the history of the show. This is one of the, the crown jewels of television. So it was something CBS had on their radar. They wanted to make for a long time. They wanted to reboot it, and I wish I had come up with the idea to bring it back. It wasn't my idea. It was an idea that was brought from our director, James Wan. He brought the idea to CBS, and they developed a pilot, and there were a lot of great things in that original pilot that came out. One of them was the relationship between Lucas and George Eads, and we had to do a new pilot, so I came in. But I was a fan of it. I was very jealous when I heard it was in development. So, but it was a smart move. I think it's very different from any other hero in the landscape of television. So, but it wasn't my idea, CBS. But I think it was a great idea in hindsight.
Lucas, tell me, did you feel pressure stepping into this role? I mean, a lot of eyeballs were on it definitely when it was announced. How did you feel about it?
Oh yeah, and no one would let me forget that the pressure was on. But I mean, and I'll say the same answer I had about 100 times already, was that, I put enough pressure on myself in everything that I do that I really couldn't I just kind of put the blinders on and trusted everyone else to hopefully guide me in the right direction, and kind of do what I did and put a little bit of that on it. But yeah.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little of this, a little of that.
Yeah.
Well, and it was announced yesterday that you guys are doing a crossover with Hawaii Five-0, which is amazing. Congratulations.
Yo.
Tell me, what is that going to entail? What's the crossover going to look like?
What's the logistics like, Jeff?
We're 6,000 miles apart. Real easy. So we're going to shoot 6 days here. We're going to shoot 3 days there. I get on a plane Thursday. George and Lucas get on one Thursday night. I get in there. They then go to L.A. They're then going to come Saturday. We're going to shoot Sunday, Monday, Tuesday morning. They fly back here Tuesday night to get back here Wednesday. Back to work Thursday.
Sounds like a vacation. And who from Hawaii Five-0 will we see on the MacGyver episode?
We'll see, Kamakona. I think it's already been out there. There's been a photo out there. He's played by Taylor Wiley. We'll also see Daniel Day Kim and Grace Park. Okay. And maybe some other surprises. We'll see.
Well, because I know from the time I started watching MacGyver, I was like, it just seems like it would be such a fluid move, because the worlds definitely seem like they exist in the same universe. Was that always the intention when you were shaping this?
Yeah, that I think the idea always was, especially when I sort of had an idea of where they were going to place the show. I always thought it would be great to keep them in the same universe. So there's been hints even from the pilot. There's been hints to sort of, another, task force that existed in Hawaii, and in the 2 episodes from now, there's another sort of like hint towards it. Then we sort of have a very mini crossover in terms of storyline, which comes out in this episode next week. There's a reference to running storyline in Hawaii Five-0. So we're sort of setting up the idea that these worlds definitely coexist.
Okay, I love it. Can't wait. There's some great lines in this episode about family, and I know we talked about it, but for Lucas and any of you that want to talk about it, because in a short time we've really seen that this group has become a family. But why is that important to you guys, and why is it important to a show like this that there is a family element?
Well, I personally think when there's heart to any type of show or movie, it gives you a reason to become invested in the characters. And I think when you bring in that family element, that's something that everyone can relate to. That's any person, no matter what you're going through or what you believe in. Family is the center of every person. And so that's what we do, and I think that's why we're doing so well in the ratings, is because that's something that everybody could kind of get behind and kind of relate to and identify with.
What do you think, Tristin? Because we even get a little bit about your backstory in this episode.
Family is definitely the most important thing. In the original series, the original MacGyver, he didn't have anyone on his team. He was kind of just by himself. Every once in a while you saw Jack. I've kind of been brought in as someone who helps him with the technical stuff, the surveillance camera hacking and all that good stuff, so he can sneak into a building and get through. And now Bozer's on the team. He was originally MacGyver's best friend, and he's now on the team helping out with prosthetics and helping us go undercover and stuff like that. So we've kind of been brought together as a family on the show that helps MacGyver out, and it's great. And also the show is very family friendly, so older people can watch it, young children can watch it, and the show's not too violent. And it's a good thing for everyone to watch. So.
Peter, why was it important that that element be in the framework of the show?
Well, I think we were. I think one of the things that work on television is characters. I think you tune in for the characters, and I think you need to interact with somebody like Tristin said. The original MacGyver had nobody to interact with but the guest star, so you didn't get to learn much about him. So I really centered this thing around. It's MacGyver at the core, and then he's got this family around him, and it's a way to interact and learn about him and about the other characters. But I think, it's weird because right now more than ever, I think we're living in such a very weird time that a family dynamic, that kind of structure, I think means more to people than it's ever been. The comfort of your family, the comfort of that dynamic is really important, and I think people feel comfort in that.
Lucas, we kind of know some of Mac's backstories, how he knows how to do all these scientific things or these quick things. I want to know how, as he does it, his hair is always on point. How does that happen?
That's for sure.
Always on point.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, yeah. It is taken care of. We have a hair wrangler. And
His name is KG Ramsey. He takes care of it.
yeah, man, yeah, he does. He's great.
Okay, good. But talk about just the science and all that stuff, and how you have to play that off really well. Like it's a natural thing for him, and how challenging is that for you as an actor to do that?
Hey, you guys witnessed this. What was it, last night? How hard that can be sometimes to do those. It's a lot of technical jargon. Last night. A scene where I have to. I'm just talking about a bomb, and I'm trying to do formulaic algebra in my mind, but and then because at some point you're like, God, do I really need to? Yeah, I'm gonna look really cool if I can pull this off. So let's just try and say it all.
And he pulled it off and looked really cool. He did it.
But no, it's luckily that time it was funny. It moves so fast, right? And so I got that particular scene, and I was reading the script for the next day, and I was like, okay, wow, those are two brutal scenes. What scenes happen the next day? So then I have to write it out, formulaic, and I photographic memory. So I have to draw a little bomb, and then that's 1.5 pounds, and then there's another one that's 2 pounds, and I put the label on it, and then I wrote it in cursive, the Hopkins and Krentz scaling law, and so I could see it that way, and that's how I have to learn these things. But I do like the challenge of doing it.
He's a real MacGyver. Like it's no joke. Like
MacGyver's the script, so he can MacGyver.
Yeah, they hired the right person. Where were we at? What was that house we were at? That room? What was that room?
We were in an escape room.
An escape room. If we didn't have him, we would still be in that escape room. He's the reason we got out of that. I'm not playing. Like he's the reason why we got out. He's the real MacGyver. He's the real deal.
It definitely wasn't because George is in the room. I'll tell you that much.
Speaking of George Eads, who's not here, unfortunately, how helpful is it to have him in those scenes with you? And you're trying so hard to focus. And how is that with George? Tell me about working with him.
What do you mean, trying to focus?
Right, it's really
it makes it
helpful.
difficult. No, it's great because also there was one line in particular where he did it. What does he say? He said something like, "That's debatable." He's still kind of, or he's still questioning what MacGyver's doing, and it's nice to have his voice there. And all of us at some point, kind of, even sometimes me, I'll be like, I don't really know how I pulled that off on the show because it's some of it seems far-fetched. Far-fetched is what he said. Right. So it's stuff like that is really, it's cool to have kind of the voice of the audience. Like, really, would that work? And then a lot of the times it really does. You'd be surprised how some of this stuff actually does work.
But don't try it.
Yeah.
Don't try it at home. The tone of the show is such a great hybrid of action, drama, and then the comedic stuff is wonderful. Justin, you have a comedy background, of course. How has it been for you to step into a show like this where there are times where you have to play it a little more straight and a little more dramatic?
It's been great. I did I am a stand-up comedian, so that's my background. And I did another show where I was the lead, and I had to be even more dramatic than what I am on the MacGyver show. And so when I was doing the other show, I was like, if I ever do a 1-hour show again, I just want to play the best friend, say some jokes, and go home. And when that show got canceled, I played the best friend. I say some jokes and I go home. So turn up. So so it all worked out. But I love being able to bring some heart and humor to the show.
But how long before we're seeing you jump off of buildings and on top of cars?
it's coming.
Is it
It's
coming?
coming.
It started.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, he did such a good job as being the guy who gets to say a couple lines, be funny, and go home. That now they're writing him as the guy who jumps
now
out
I
of
never
buildings.
go home. They're like, no, you gonna say something more. You gonna say more. So yeah, but I'm happy. I'm happy to be on set. Happy to be a part of the team, and however I could be, any help to the story, I'm all in.
Well, we are, as the episodes roll out, we are getting a little more pieces of everybody. Like this episode, we got a little bit more out of you guys. How much do you need to know as actors going in? Like, are you bugging this guy to like tell you everything about your character, or do you just kind of go along with it like as the scripts come in?
No, well, yeah, unfortunately, sometimes it's because it goes, like I was saying, goes so fast. Like I'll be reading it like, oh God, okay, I got to do that tomorrow. All right, I had no idea. Remember that one time I emailed you about, or I texted you about getting more to say in that one scene, and you within 10 minutes had ridiculous stuff to say. It was amazing, and I was like, well, I don't know if I wanted that much more to say, but it was great. I mean, yes, there's sometimes I text Peter to inform me about more of this, but there's a lot of stuff that yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of it's just kind of written, and you discover, well, I guess that.
And I gotta
guess
give
that's in my
credit
past.
to Peter because he's a great writer. I don't know. He wrote Demolition Man. Anybody seen Demolition Man? But he
Three
wrote
seashells?
this movie. But he's great at writing and coming up with new stuff for our characters to do. So he's a phenomenal dude.
I was actually, I was funny because I was gonna say something, but I didn't want to interrupt the sort of flow. But I was gonna say when you were talking about Justin, you were talking about his comedy chops, but what really blew me away was his dramatic ability. Because I didn't see your previous show. I think
Only
you know
4
that.
people did. So
Yeah, but
it was called Rush Hour, everybody.
CBS had sent me some stuff of his, but I didn't watch, the shows. And we met, and I thought I had this character in mind, but he sort of made me revise the character a little bit after we met, because I think we had a really great meeting, and I adored him when he walked out. I said, this is the kind of guy I want to work with. But I was really in all when I'm watching, I'm sitting there and editing, and you're there really late at night sometimes, and you're looking at something. It's a relief to know that he's a utility player, that he really can do it all, because he does the comedy, obviously, and he's great at that because he's got that experience. But the drama stuff is a surprise to me because I wasn't expecting that. He was originally, the intention was he was going to be sort of the comedic, roommate, but it sort of like got quickly sort of made me realize that I could do so much more with this guy, and
Thank you, Peter.
You know what the next conversation outside is going to be about a raise. So, but it's true. You really everything happens so quick, so you really get to pat people on the back. But that's one of the many things about our great cast is that they really are, and like you said, they fit into the roles very quickly, and that's all good casting. But that's usually something that only develops over years of a show's life. For it to gel so quickly is a sign of, again, I'd like to think it's all in the writing, but it's really in the casting. And, when you get people that work well together, it shows on screen. And I think that's really what we've done from the beginning is they really feel like they feel real and they feel like they have a connection.
Well, case in point, we just saw Meredith Eaton, who's playing Maddie Weber, the new boss. She's great with all of you guys. Like
She's amazing.
On and off. She was like a therapist in like a psycho ward or something. I'm not kidding. And so she apparently there was a guy who would like chew on toothbrushes, and the bristles were down. It was just plastic, and he was bleeding out of his gums. He never said a word. Her husband told me the story. He never said a word until one day they were walking down a hallway, and she had spent time with this guy, but he never said anything. But some guy had made a joke about her or something like that, and he picked the guy up by the throat and whispered into his ear some threat. I'm sure I'm going to kill you if you're whatever. That was the only time they'd ever seen him speak. She has a way with people. I remember George had a bad. I mean, it was like right before the break, and he was having one of those days. I mean, you have them every now and then. It's almost like a clinical depression hits you. You can't get angry. You can't do anything. Right. And she couldn't get out of it. And I see him. He's like laughing in the Phoenix Foundation, talking to Meredith, telling his story. And like, no, she's great with all of us. I'm sure you can all add on to that.
She really is. She's like my second mom.
Yeah, she's great.
Well,
Like my third mom.
yeah.
We FaceTime on our days off.
Well, I want to know about the Maddie Jack backstory. How long before that actually comes out, Peter? Is that going to be a while? What the beef is between them?
Yeah, I think what kills shows is when two characters sleep together too quickly. So I think we're gonna hold off on that for a little bit. Have people wonder what that is, what that backstory is.
I'm just watching Justin. He's
I know.
having
Justin was having a whole conversation with somebody back there.
his videographer is not giving him.
Yeah,
what he
we've
needs.
all been.
It's fired.
We're gonna get some audience questions here in just a second. This episode also, I mean, actually, I feel like the show's been on a long time, but it really hasn't. But you've already had so many great guest stars and recurring
Yes.
stars. I mean, Frank Wally's so good in this. I love Amy Acker, Tracy Spiridakis. Talk about that when you think about casting those people, because I'm always curious if the character comes first or if it's the actor. How does that usually play out? And who else might we see this season?
Well,
Yeah, I want to know this answer. I want to know this answer.
Well, it starts with the character. I mean, then we just go for best actor. You know, Amy was somebody who I think we all were big fans of. I know CBS is a big fan of hers as well, and for obvious reasons. But Frank Wally, I've been trying to work with forever. I didn't even know. It was only until I went to see Lucas's movie that Frank played his dad in the movie.
Frank played my dad.
And it was like very bizarre to watch Frank playing his father in a movie when I was cutting the episode that Frank was his fugitive. And it was just very surreal. But it really goes with, it's very rare. I mean, there's been a few times on 5-0 where it's like a Carol Burnett or something where it's somebody I've wanted to work with forever. So I write something specifically for them. But I think we're still in early days of the show. So really what I'm trying to do is tell the best stories for our cast, get the audience to get behind them, realize who they are, what they're about, and then I'll start bringing in, I think, again, I think some of our guest stars have been very colorful, interesting, but I want our characters to be the most interesting right now, especially in the first season. So once we get to season 2, I'll start writing for other people, but I think right now, I try to pay more attention to, our cast than the guest cast, so.
Yeah, but
Don't ever tell any of the guest cast that, by the way.
You've put a lot of great effort. I mean, just made amazing choices with the guest stars, because when I first moved out to LA, the thing that you go for is episodic television because it's easier. And like on CSI, you got a new guest star, a new criminal, new whatever each episode. So you get people who don't have a whole lot of credits. That's what you go for, right? But and those may not be the best actors in the world. But not on our show. We've been getting really, really good guest stars. So I guess you got to start.
I mean,
off strong.
also the other thing is there's people that Siobhan Fallon, who was in this episode. Yeah. So she plays the store clerk. I've known her for probably 30 years. She was on SNL. So, there's a lot of people that when you write a character, you say, oh my God, I forgot. Siobhan would be great for that. So that happens as well. And I think because you have a relationship with them, they're willing to do the sort of guest spot of the week. And Frank knows I've been chasing him forever, so that happens. But I think we really just, for the most part, go for best actor for the role.
Well, and the nice thing is if you don't kill them off, then they're a nice corral of characters you can bring back throughout the run of the series and come back for whatever you need them. That's awesome. I'm going to turn it over to you guys, and hopefully you have some questions for all these great people. Who has a question?
Can y'all tell us a little bit about shooting in Atlanta? Justin, you did Stomp the Yard here a while back, but just maybe what surprised y'all about shooting here? Really glad to see that it's not completely Atlanta for somewhere else, that y'all actually incorporated the city into the storyline. So maybe just what opportunities that created, or what things surprised you, even sort of off production, just being here and that kind of stuff.
And Jeff, you're here in Atlanta, right? All the time. So talk about that a little bit and shooting here.
Well, I didn't have to do Budapest. I didn't have to do Amsterdam. I got to do Atlanta. This one was great. I never get that. Like the next one we did was Amsterdam, which we just finished. And then we go to Hawaii.
Well, I think
we're never here in Atlanta. So the easiest thing with this one was we were in Atlanta. But
I think we wanted to give Jeff a break on this one, because usually we're jumping through these flaming hoops, trying to recreate a location that doesn't exist in Atlanta, and we do a great job cheating it. But I think in this episode, to give Jeff a little bit of a relief, we did Atlanta for Atlanta.
And I love it. You know, I went to college out here. I went to Clark Atlanta University, and while I was there, I filmed a movie called Stomp the Yard. And yeah, we shot at Stone Mountain. And then, you know, fast forward to MacGyver, and we're shooting at Stone Mountain doing this show. So, you know, it's great to kind of, it's almost like a homecoming coming back to Atlanta and shooting. I love this city, and I consider it. I honestly, I've been in LA for 10 years, and I still consider Atlanta my second home. I'm from Florida originally, so yeah.
And we shoot so many different locations here in Atlanta. It's given me a chance to explore the place. I have a lot of family here, but I've never had a chance to really come visit. And now that I'm on the show, I am. But I'm learning about all these different cities and all the different stuff that they have, and it's given me a chance to explore it. So it's been fun.
All in the downer zone, as you like to call it. And it's all within.
That's close to the studio.
Yeah, exactly. What, within like what, a 15-mile radius?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an international show, so like we have to make it look like we're all over the world, and we've all done it in the downer zone. Yeah, so.
Downers Woods is the best.
Downers,
We-
oh, the
we've been
Downers
in,
Woods,
like-
yeah.
We've been in like 10 different
Yeah,
countries in the
literally
middle of
right behind us,
downtown.
yeah.
Side note, this dude is great with impressions and stuff and characters. This is a secret talent that no one knows, and so I'm hoping we incorporate that soon, or a second season or something. Man, I'm serious.
Or how
he's
about
great.
now?
He'll
Could
do-
we see
he can
one
do it.
now?
He can
That's
do
why I
it.
was about to shut you up,
Nah,
because now
nah.
I hate being put on the spot with it.
Yo.
Just to sneak
Justin,
out.
who would you like to see him do at the moment?
Dang, I'm trying to think
Christopher Walken.
who would they
Oh,
know?
that's my Achilles heel.
I'll do Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's popular again. He's popular again.
Just dance.
He's popular right now. He's popping. You're terminated. Whatever.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, what do you know?
No, your Dutch
Arnold.
accent is the best.
Which one?
No, that's a fake. All right, God, now I'm getting all insecure and bread faced.
Tap dance. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'll sneak it into when I answer
Yeah,
a question
but
next time.
he's funny. That's the thing. I always tell people when I do interviews how funny Lucas and George, they like naturally, like off camera, we're like dying laughing off camera. So yeah,
And me, I'm just like,
I know.
She has the worst job.
Yeah.
She has to put up with George, Justin, and I.
I think we had a question here in the front.
Thank you. One of the episodes, there's some conflict with Father MacGyver. Any chance that we'll be seeing Richard Dean Anderson reprise his role?
I hope so.
But you're saying Richard Dean Anderson, are you assuming that he's the father?
Yeah, from
Ooh,
the
interesting.
original series.
We should talk later. You and I. No, we love Richard. It feels a little, for me at least, it feels a little obvious to make, Richard Dean Anderson the dad. So it was never my intention to make him the father. There is a role for him, and we've sort of hinted at who that role is in the show. If you pay close attention, we've mentioned it a couple times, and I'm hoping that's the role that Richard will play, but it's definitely not the dad. Because I think that's a little, I think the audience is going to be expecting that.
Who else has a question?
Let's keep that between us.
Yeah, just as friends.
We actually only have time for one more question this
Okay.
evening. We'll take it right here.
Last question.
Hey guys.
Tristin elected to stay a little later to answer any other questions. So it may be the last one for all of us, but Tristin will be here.
I'll stay for you guys.
That's okay. I'll be quick. So I was just wondering, obviously with the show and the writing it and preparing for the roles, all your characters are very, skilled scientifically and technically. And I was just wondering, what kind of research did you guys do, and what kind of research did you guys do just to kind of figure out all of the different, inventions or technical lingo? Was there anything specific you guys just did to kind of prepare for the show and the roles?
That is a good question. My role, honestly, she's a lot like myself. She wears the same clothes that I do. We do the same hair. We talk the same. The only thing that is different is I was never a computer hacker. But I've always been good at electronics, putting stuff
So
together.
she say.
I never... You guys see what I deal with? I never read instructions when I put stuff together. I just wing it. But I have learned a lot about hacking. So don't try nothing. But I've learned a lot of new terminology, and I've definitely studied on it to make sure that I know what I'm even talking about, because it's easy to just read lines and say it, but if you know what you're actually talking about, it helps you a lot. And it helps you remember your lines. If you know what you're talking about, you're going to do a good job, but if you don't even know what you're saying, you're going to get hung up. But it's been an experience, learning about my character and bringing it into myself and putting myself into it, so.
I was gonna say when the show starts off, I work at a burger joint. So I flipped a lot of burgers, grilled some hot dogs. There you go.
Yeah, I think yeah.
He really is MacGyver, so.
No, well, you do. Well, I was just kind of, Tristin said it all for me. You have to, you can't say that stuff without at least having some inkling of an understanding of what it is. You can't say it, I mean, if you can't understand it. So, but even still, I mean, you know, how much could you possibly know about IMEI codes and a pound and a half of NP10 and, sorry, and
Now sometimes you gotta just wing it.
Hopkinson and Krantz scaling law, of course. We know all about that one.
You at
But
least gotta Google it.
yeah, you do.
Try to understand.
Well, the interesting thing is they make it pretty believable, correct? I mean, you believe these characters, so it does come across pretty naturally. But I think, you know, when we're writing the scripts, what we usually do is, because again, we look at its story first. We don't look at it as the MacGyverisms. The MacGyverisms are sort of the place we get when we paint ourselves into a corner. That's when we look for a way out of it, and that's when we sort of come up with something. Like we'll spitball, hey, it would be great to do this. We'll write it, and then we'll send it to. We have a tech consultant who works for Wired magazine who will send it to, and he'll usually send back, "Are you kidding? Because you can't do this. But if you do this and that, you'll get out of it." So we're usually 50% there. He helps us with the other 50%, but you know, it's the easy part is writing it. The hard part is making it believable on screen. And when that stuff comes out of the mouth of an actor, you really have to have the right actor, because coming out of the wrong actor, the show's dead. And I think from the beginning, I think you truly believed, you know, this good-looking guy had the ability to, well.
Oh, you're talking about Justin.
Yeah, I was talking to.
No,
so,
he's not.
you know, he had the ability to flip burgers. So the good-looking guy had the ability to do this. The good-looking, you know, woman had the ability to, you know, hack computers. And what do you do again?
I don't know. I don't know.
What did Maddie say? And what, Bozo, what do you do again?
I don't know. I make masks. That's what I'm doing.
The idea was always that, this is what I originally had. I wanted him to be a film. The show's in LA. So I thought, what would the roommate do? The roommate, of course, wants to be in the film business. So he's going to want to be a director. But you can't survive just on directing. So the idea is that he would make his own movies. So how do you make your own movies in this day and age? You have to make your own props. You have to be your own actor, all that stuff. So that's where the prosthetics came in. The prosthetics led to a skill set that we saw a value in, or the Phoenix Foundation saw value in, and then ultimately, which you'll see in an episode coming up, they start to work into robotics. So the prosthetics lead to robotics, which is going to become a character. It's going to be, you know, if you're going to see Laurel and Hardy, you know, the Laurel to his Hardy is going to be this robot that works in the lab with him. So, so that comes up. But again, it's been an evolution of, it started with the burger guy wanting to be something else, and ultimately learning the secret, and then, you know, repurposing his skill set. Just like MacGyver's repurposes things, the Phoenix Foundation, and really was Mac who said that in this particular episode, we'll repurpose your skills. We'll find a place for you. And that's where we are.
Thank you, Peter.
Well, it was all based on that conversation that day.
Oh, good. Cool.
Thanks to everybody on the panel. Thanks so much.
Thank y'all.